So making that bottom arm was pretty easy. We tried two different approaches on the upper arm, and it proved that rotating this lower arm wasn't quite as easy as I thought. They're almost identical, but just not quite, and the difference proved to cause a little bit of trouble. So anyway, a really significant dimension, though, is this 1 and 3/8 here, which gets you to this corner. And it's from this corner that uh, this line and this line are projected out at an angle of 30 degrees relative to horizontal. And that got you basically this part of the gusset here, this upper part. So that is how that was created. Without this point right here, you would not know where to locate this. There's no other dimension locating this rectangular piece here. So that's kind of the key right there, finding that corner. And it is located off of this center line here. So this center line is dimensioned 1 1/4 inches back, and then 1 3/8 inch up. So that's how you find that corner. Project a 30-degree line off of it, and everything just kind of takes shape after that. Okay, so the next view that I think we should do is the auxiliary view. So just project it along these lines here. I might zoom out a smidge. There we go. So the auxiliary view is going to be placed right around here. We can just offset this line, any one of these lines. I'm going to say 4 inches. Let's see where that gets us. That seems about right. So it's probably a good place to start. So we'll say this is one side of it, and then we'll offset to the center and to its other side. The thickness of this object, well, we're given the radius. We aren't given the overall, I take that back. We are given the overall thickness. I see it. It's 1 9/16. And we are also given the radius of these curves on the end, which are, of course, half of that thickness, and they are 25 30-seconds. I presume that is half of 1 9/16. So anyway, if we offset this guy, and then again, the distance of 25 30-seconds, that should do it. Take that one more time. O, enter, 25 32. See if we can get it. Huh. It's really sticking to my 4-inch. One more time. See if I can change that value. Offset, enter. 25 30-seconds, enter. All right. Now it's working. Okay, and that middle one, of course, is the center line. So again, that offset value, 25 30-seconds. Basically, we are drawing this face right here, this angled face. That's the whole point of this auxiliary drawing, is to show what this angled face looks like head on. So we already have most of the lines that we need. We have its edge, we have its hole, its center, we have this internal support, this gusset I've been calling it. We've got pretty much everything to draw that face. We need a little bit more to draw the pivot itself, so we can project that information out. So let's go down to the pivot and add a few more things here. So I'm going to take this line, this guy, and put them on the edges of the hole and the outside of this. While I am here, I would like to acknowledge that I did not put the radius on everything, and when I say everything, I mean where this line right here intersects the circle and where this line right here intersects that circle, there should be a 1/16th radius. So let's do that right now since we're here. F, enter, R, enter, and it's going to be 1/16th or 0.063, and it's just this line to the circle there. And same, this guy here, you can hardly see it. It's not really noticeable, which is kind of why I let it go, but that does belong there. And you'll see it is more apparent in a minute. That fillet is pretty much everywhere except for the major corners, like right here. These really big corners are the exception. Okay, so anyway, going back to projecting this hole and the cylinder around it, I'm going to copy this construction line here. Oops. And put it on the outskirts. And then zoom out. Maybe one more time. Okay. Oh, there is one other pretty significant offset to do. And so right now I have the width of the arm, but I don't have the width of the cylinder. So the cylinder is a little bit wider than the arm. And if you look on the drawing, it says, actually gives you the offset as 1/4 of an inch wider than the arm. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to offset 0.25 this line out, out, and this line out. So again, making it a little bit wider, and that's just going to apply in this area here where the cylinder is. So I'm going to draw the outside of that cylinder. Here it is, from that corner to that corner. So you can see what I'm talking about. That's the outside of the cylinder, and this is the hole going through it all the way. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Now for the arm. And we're going to add to this, but I'm going to do the basic, really basic outline right now. In fact, let me just use the circle first here. So I'm going to go to the center line and go to the outside edge. And then the hole, same thing. Okay. And now for the arm, I'm going to go from the center line there to just to here right now. I know it's going to go a little farther, and we'll zoom in on and deal with that in a moment. So the length of this line has to go a little bit further. I'm going to trim this out, and I'm also going to add the rectangular piece right here. So let's just do that right now. It's a very simple line just from there to there. Let's trim out this circle. I'm going to turn off my construction lines. Get rid of that thing. Okay. Put them back on. Now, also in the top view, there is a rib. And I know that I can see in the drawing that this the inside here is not hollow. There is material there, and there's also material here. You can see there's its edge. And that material we are given as a note is 3/8 of an inch thick. So in this view, this line right here, the center line, would need to be offset half that distance, which is 3/16 on both sides. Okay. And I'll just make those construction lines right now. And then I'm going to trace over that as with an object line. Again, that was a 3/16 offset because their total width is 3/8 of an inch. And if you look on the drawing, you will see that they go all the way to here. That's pretty obvious. You can see where that line comes in. It goes to tangent, which is perpendicular. So that line right there, that's an easy one to figure out. Boom. And that is a solid line. So anything that crosses it is going to get trimmed out. So for example, that, and this, and this, nothing is getting in its way. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Let's take care of how these lines, where these lines terminate and how all of these lines end. And what I'm talking about, again, is these fillets. So there is this little 16th inch round all over the place. So where this line comes down and meets the cylinder, it isn't straight. It doesn't end like this. It ends with a little radius runout. Where this line right here comes down and meets the cylinder, same thing. It ends with a little radius runout. Where this outside line comes down and meets the cylinder, it ends with a radius runout. So there are many of these little lines that we need to take care of. Okay, so let's zoom in a little tighter and try to figure that out. Whoa, it's pretty zoomed in. Okay, so we'll do this outside one first because that's kind of the most obvious one. It ends at tangent. There it is, the tangent line. I mean, the definition of tangent is where it is perpendicular to the radius. So that line is perpendicular to that line. That is for sure where it ends. So I am going to put a little line segment to sacrifice, maybe from there to there. And I'm going to do the fillet. And my radius, just to confirm, yep, is 0.063, or technically 0.0625 if you're doing it perfectly. And I'm going to go from this line to this line. There it is. And now I'm just going to delete that line. Get rid of that. And that is essentially it. Now, a runout, as you know, is not really it's typically drawn about half size, but if I draw that radius at half size, it's not even going to show up. And then you get, let me zoom out and show you what I'm talking about. If I draw that any smaller, it's hardly going to be noticeable. So I think I'm just going to leave it at full size. Again, these are just representations. Runouts are not accurate things. You're not seeing it true size. It's just to let the person know basically that there's a radius in that corner and it's not a square corner. Okay? So that's a good deal. So that's what I'm going to do with the other side here. Just make my little sacrificial piece, fillet that, and delete that guy. So that's good enough. If you really wanted to be by the book, you would zoom in on that, grab that fillet, make it about half the actual size, something like that, and then zoom out. Let's compare the two. So when you're looking at this drawing, which is basically at that level of zoom, uh, you can see the one side, it's like it's not even there. So that's why I'm going to leave them at full size. There we go. Okay, so what's next? The other ones. So this inside edge is doing the same thing. And we need to mark where it's hitting. And interestingly, this inside edge, this line that I'm touching is really two lines. It's this line right here as it hits the outside of the cylinder. And it's this line right here, which is the inside of that web or that rib where it hits the cylinder. So if you look on the drawing, that rib or webbing has a top and a bottom. Here's the top line, here's the bottom line. And the bottom line hits the cylinder well before the top line does. We already did the top of it. The top line hits it way down here. But this bottom line hits it right about here at the same place that this edge hits the cylinder. So this line and this line are hitting the cylinder at the same place, but they are different lines, and they're each going to have their own little run out. So let's see where they hit it. Let's zoom in on there pretty tight. Zoom in on that guy, and you can see they hit it right about here. So that's the end of the fillet. Let's copy this line and copy it to the end of that fillet, right there. And then I'm going to zoom out. And that's where that thing goes. So if I zoom in tight on that now, both of those, let me draw a sacrificial line segment here. There it is. And I could do another one here or just copy this one. I think I'll just copy this one. Let's see how that goes. So I'm going to fillet this guy from there to there. Boom. Delete the sacrificial part. Boom. Copy this guy. CO enter from his endpoint and just go straight across till it hits here, perpendicular, snap, check. And that is the deal. I can get rid of this piece now. This is not visible because they are joining the cylinder as a fillet and there is no hard edge, so I can remove that. There it is. Perfect. And on the other side, I could just mirror that, and I think I will. That might make it more simple. So this guy, I'll just trim away or move to here. And then I'm going to mirror these pieces. So I enter, select these guys, these three, and mirror them about that line there. That's it. So there's your runouts and the line that they came from. You can see that line right there showing the end of the fillet where it joins the cylinder. Turn the construction lines off. Now for this auxiliary view, I'm not doing any of the other arm. I could draw the entire other arm on the underneath this with hidden lines foreshortened. There would be no sense in doing it. Technically, it is there. We know it's there. It is beneath this guy, but it would be a lot of trouble, and it would not be of any significant benefit to us. So we're going to just basically pretend like it's not even there.